Some people would say that the plank exercise is not challenging enough, but if you're actually performing this with proper form, I can guarantee you that this exercise can be just as challenging as any other core exercise you perform. So in today's video, I wanted to show you the most common mistakes I see people make, and most importantly, show you how you can use this exercise to build a stronger core. Let's get started. Welcome back, guys. It's Dr. Mike, a physical therapist. Now today we're going to be talking about the plank exercise. And the reason why this is so important is because number one, it is probably one of the most common exercises that I see people choose when they want to train their core or when they want to train their abs. So most people are going to be using this exercise. The second reason why it's so important is because if you do this incorrectly, you're simply just wasting your time, okay? Most people even will do this exercise and they think, wow, this is too easy because they're setting up incorrectly. Then they start moving on to more advanced exercises, which is how people increase their risk for injury. They start doing other exercises that really their body is not prepared for. So if you can really learn how to master and perform this essential core exercise, which is the plank, and you know how to set up, you're gonna realize that other exercises down the road are gonna be much easier for you. So I'm gonna go over some of the most common mistakes I see people make, and most importantly, we're gonna go over some of the easy fixes to help ensure that you are doing this exercise correctly. So we're gonna get into the top 3 mistakes that I see people make. So let's go over the first mistake, and that's what's specifically happening in the lower back. Now, when people are performing this exercise, just know you can actually perform this on your hands, but you'll see most people doing this on their forearms like this, okay? Now, the first mistake that I see people make when they're doing this is they're not paying attention to what's happening in the lower body. If you do this exercise correctly, all of the muscles of your body are gonna be working. This can be a total body exercise if you do this correctly. So what most people will do is either their body or their bottom will sag down to the ground. So they're holding this plank position and their hips will go down to the ground. They either perform with their bottom too low or they simply lift their hips way too high. And what they're doing is they're not really paying attention to the activation of their glutes and their quads. So if you notice, if you squeeze that bottom tight and you really squeeze those quads, you're gonna feel those knees straighten out and you're gonna feel those abs kicking on, and you're gonna feel everything really tight on the lower half of the body. So we wanna limit the amount of movement in your hips. You don't want them too high, but you don't want them too low. You want them to be in a nice straight line. So that's the first mistake that I see people make, and all you have to really focus on is tightening those glutes, tightening those quads, and ensuring that the lower body is engaged with this exercise. The second mistake that I see people make is simply they're disregarding what's happening with their upper body, specifically in their arms. So if they're holding this position, let's say on our hands, and this is also applicable if you're doing this on your forearms, what tends to happen is with their shoulder blades, they kind of just let them sag. So they're just holding this position without being aware of active shoulders. Active shoulders is simply when we are actively pushing into the ground, okay? So if you're not doing this correctly, you'll see people just holding the plank and they're just letting their shoulder blades kind of retract, and they're really not getting a good workout on their upper back and even the engagement in their core. You can really engage your serratus anterior. These are the muscles that stabilize the shoulder, and you can really start to activate some of the upper core muscles here in the front there by actively pushing your hands into the ground. Also, we notice that my hands are stacked underneath the shoulders, okay? If you're way out here, this is not the right way to perform this exercise. We want them stacked underneath, and then we want them active, so we're really pushing away from the ground. It's almost gonna feel like you are rounding your upper back, but those shoulder blades are moving away from each other, okay? So you wanna keep active shoulder. Now, the last mistake that I see people make that is often not really talked about is what's going on with the neck, okay? We are already people that are stuck on computers and on our phones, and our head is already pulled forward based on all the devices that put us in that position. And when you see people do this exercise, you'll see them. They'll be performing a plank and they'll either kind of let their head sag down, or worse, they'll look forward and they're in this extension, okay? Extension of the neck. You might not feel like that bothers you now. If you do that multiple times throughout the week, over time, your neck's gonna start to feel it and you're gonna start to have pain in the neck, and you're gonna wonder why your neck started hurting you or what might have caused that. And it's simply because the exercises that you're performing are not done with proper form. So an easy fix that you can do for the neck is simply do a slight chin tuck. You're almost like, I kind of tell people to make a double chin. And so instead of their neck either being pulled too far down or going into that extension, all they're gonna do is retract their chin, bring their chin down, and what it's gonna cause is gonna allow all those cervical neck extensors to work efficiently. If you are in this position here and you do a chin tuck, you're gonna feel all the muscles of the back of the neck kicking on. And all of those tips are really gonna help ensure that the full body is engaged and that you're focusing on keeping that plank in a nice straight line. Those are my favorite tips to help ensure that you are performing the plank exercise with proper form and proper technique. Now, if you want to learn other ways on how you can level up this exercise or challenge this exercise even more, check out that video I made over here where I go over different variations on how to make this exercise more challenging for you. In the meantime, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one.